So recently, our
Louse.
boys have developed a problem, and we have been living basically in a really terrible nightmare. Now, one thing that you need to know about me is that I absolutely love our fur babies, but I absolutely am petrified of anything in the icky category of bugs, okay? They are so disgusting. I can't stand it. Just thinking about them or hearing somebody talk about anything in that category makes me itch terribly. It's really, really disturbing to me. I find it to be one of the worst things in the entire world, no matter what type of bug or insect. I can't stand anything in that category. So this has been extremely difficult for me, and I'm just having a really terrible, terrible time with it. But I love our fur babies. I love all of them, and I will do anything for them. So I'm doing what needs to be done. But I am just still really feeling icky, and I definitely feel ashamed because I feel like I should have noticed this sooner. And I have a bazillion questions related to this nightmare, but I have basically no answers. And it's just been really disturbing. And I don't know really what else to say about it, but having to go through this and dealing with it and cleaning everything up, if that doesn't prove my love for these little guys, I don't know what does. But it definitely, has come as a shock. And one reason why it has come as a shock is because I feel I am pretty careful with anything I do for the little guys. I wash my hands, between petting, the hamster or the guinea pigs, or, actually, I wash my hands between petting the Syrian hamster or handling the dwarf hamster. The guineas are usually together, so, I don't wash my hands in between each one, but, I don't pet a guinea pig and then a rat, or a rat and then a guinea pig, or a hamster and then a guinea pig, or anything like that without washing my hands. So, and I don't wash them once. I wash my hands literally like 2 or 3 times before I will return to do whatever needs to be done for them, and that's just kind of like my OCD about it, but I am extremely cautious. So I never really in a million years thought this would ever occur in our home, but it kind of just goes to show that no matter how careful you are, sometimes these things can happen. So it's important really to know what to do, and it's also important to try and keep your cool, which I'm trying to do, but it's been really difficult. And I believe I have narrowed down the type of parasite that we have found on our boys, and it's just been kind of confusing though, because from the evidence that I had found on myself and our boys, it didn't really make much sense to me. I did treat them with Revolution. Thankfully, there were some in our house, so I was able to treat them right away. I also treated our guinea pigs because they play pretty close to where the boys live. I did not treat our hamsters only because I feel like they are safe, and I'm a little bit more scared to treat them if it's unnecessary, because they're so tiny and fragile, and Lucy is up there in her age now, so I'm a little bit more concerned with her too. It's been pretty scary, thinking about the possibility of it spreading or anything, but we seem to have it pretty much contained to the rats area. However, Obviously, I did give everything a good scrub, and I cleaned everything. I even threw away some of their hammocks and blankets because they were stuck on there so bad that I just didn't really feel like it was worth any more stress or effort trying to get them off. So I decided to kind of just give up on that and just chucked them. Some of the blankets that I chucked were kind of old and beat up, so they weren't really a big loss. But there were a couple hammocks, summertime themed, and they really liked them, and they were, still decent, in decent condition, but it wasn't worth it. I mean, even if I have to go out and buy all new everything, it wouldn't be worth the stress just to save the money. And it definitely wouldn't be worth risking any more, contamination or, health issues or anything like that, safety wise. So, I never jeopardize their happiness, their health, or their safety for any reason. So, it wasn't worth it. I feel like I failed them though. And I don't know if anybody else ever feels like that, but I feel like I failed them. I feel a little bit better though because one of our favorite YouTubers is Shadow the Rat, and I hope she doesn't get upset with me for shouting her out in this video, even though probably it'll get no views, but anyway, her channel is very, very helpful. And I knew she would have something on there for parasites, but in fact, I remembered seeing something a long time ago. So after watching her videos and, how she uses the Revolution as a preventative treatment before taking her fur babies out on outside outings and stuff like that, I feel a little bit better because, I don't know, it kind of just made me feel like, I guess, a little more normal in a way. After watching her videos, I guess I just kind of felt like it's more of like a normal kind of a problem to occur, even though obviously nobody wants to have to deal with this, and it is never good to have to deal with it. But I'm thinking I may even just treat them every now and again just as a preventative. I mean, it's not going to harm them. So, it's pretty hard to give them like too much of it, I would say. So, I don't think it would be like harmful to them. And I think it would be good to just do it as a preventative every now and again. So, I think that's what we're going to do. And in fact, there's a website, and I had come across this website before I noticed that our favorite YouTuber had it on her video. But she had the link there for this online shop in Canada where you can buy the Revolution without a prescription, which is wonderful. And I definitely wanted to make sure that I had some more in stock because I only had enough for a few doses. And I had to treat our 2 boys and our 2 girl guineas. So, I wanted to have some more just in case. So I had ordered some. But it wasn't until I noticed that our favorite YouTuber had it in her video that I decided to actually order from this site because then I obviously knew, this site was good to, buy from, and, that way I could have it in stock in case we need it again, or I feel like we should use it as a preventative. So that was good. Plus the pricings were very, very fair. I was actually pretty shocked by their pricings. So I'll put the link in this video in case anybody actually sees this video and wants to purchase the Revolution without a prescription. You do need to know though the dosages And if you have a rat less than 2 pounds, I think you only need to use about like one drop. But if your rat is like more than 2 pounds, I think it's 2 drops, if I'm not mistaken. But what I actually did was I converted the I think it's milliliters to the cc's, because our syringes are cc's. So I had to use a Google tool to do that. So then that way I knew exactly how much to give our guineas and our rats. Anyway, the most common external parasites that will affect rats are the rat louse, the mites, and or the cat and dog fleas. So rat lice are species specific, and humans can have small bites on them, and the lice can obviously bite them, like I said, but they're not going to infect a human or live on a human. So that's good. And actually, I think the rat louse is what we have right now from the description that I had found, because whatever we have is visible. Well, I've seen it on me, and I've seen the dirt in their cage and on their blankets. I thought originally that whatever it was just something that I was coming into contact with outside, because I was at my pool. I went to get a sample of the water to do a test, and I had seen one on my arm. And the next day, same thing happened. And I found them on my arms a couple of times, and I'm getting freaked out just thinking about it. But anyway, they were very, very small, and I have a lot of freckles, and honestly, it just looked like one of my freckles decided to pop off my arm in a way. It was really weird. I had to stare at it for almost a minute before I realized, no, it's not a freckle, it's flipping moving. And it was making me itch. And that was the main thing that even made me look, because I got itchy. I felt it. It was really gross. Really creeped out by it. But anyway, the rat louse is typically seen as a tiny orange rod. And like I said, if you look at it for a little bit, you'll notice it's moving, or you can maybe describe it as a crawl. It was really, really weird looking. If they're on your rat, if you see them on your rat though, they can be mistaken for the orange dandruff that sometimes the older ones get, but you have to take a really, really good look. And also, if it was just the orange dandruff, then it would be more flaky. But the lice, they kind of stick a little bit more. That's why I had to throw away their blankets, some of their blankets, because certain materials they just seem to stick to. And I scrubbed and scrubbed, and not just once. I washed all their blankets 5 times. I wash all their stuff by hand. All of our fur babies' blankets get washed by hand, and then they dry in the dryer. But I scrubbed these things 5 times, and seriously, not many were coming off of some of the blankets. And then I ran them under hot water, and I could barely rinse any of it off. So, like I said, that's why they ended up in the garbage. Anyway, you can sometimes spot lice by looking for little white dots in a dark coat on a rat, but if they are lighter colored, it may be really hard to notice. And our Mr. Honeybun is white, so it is kind of hard to see anything on him. And right now, unfortunately, our boys probably think that I've stopped loving them, which I know that I know that they know that I love them, because I tell them all the time, but I'm not picking them up right now or taking them out of their house, because unless I'm cleaning the whole thing, because and I have them sit in the carrier while I'm cleaning their whole house, because the thing is, even though I'm pretty sure that the rat louse is what it is and it's not going to, infect our other little guys, I'm still really worried, because I have the guineas, the hamsters, plus we have cats and dogs that live in this house, and our one cat lives in my bedroom with me. So I still have to worry about possibly spreading it to anybody else, and honestly, I don't want any more on me, but I did give them the revolution a couple days ago, so really anything that was in there should have died by now. And once you put the revolution on your rat and they go back to their house, if they have cage mates though, you really should wait like 5 minutes or so before you put them back so the revolution has time to dry. I put our boys back right away because even though they live one on top of another, they're by themselves. So, yeah, they can't live together, unfortunately. That didn't work out. But I put them back like right away. But if they do have cage mates, yeah, you should wait a couple minutes. But anyway, when they go back, they'll act as like I don't know. I guess you could call it like a killing machine, because they'll go around the cage with that revolution on and they'll kill off anything that's in there. So you don't really have to drive yourself crazy with cleaning their house. However, I scrubbed the bejeebies out of their houses. I mean, I went all around the bars and everything. And the only thing I didn't do like too wonderfully was like the very top of their house, because I kind of figured I didn't need to. Plus, we have like stuff stored up there, and I was hoping that I didn't really need to do that. But they don't go up there, so that shouldn't really be a problem. Anyway, one thing that is common with the rats and the lice is a poor coat condition. So you'll usually see like the scruffiness, or you'll feel like the sticky or greasy, or even dryness wherever the infestation has been for the most time. And like I said, the rat louse are species specific, so they only bother the rats, and I'm hoping that I'm definitely right that this is what they have, because I really don't need it to spread to anybody else. Another thing though that you could possibly come in contact with is the mites. Mites are absolutely terrible, because they can cause many, many more problems, I feel. Not only do they infect the rats, some are transmittable from one species to the next, and mange mites are like the worst. So I hope nobody comes in contact with anything. Well, anything at all in this category. I hope nobody comes in contact with. It's really terrible. Mites though are often characterized by irritations to the skin, and in some cases you may see like a crustiness around your little guy's ears or nose. Yeah, the mites themselves you can't see, so it's like really, really terrible, because you gotta defend yourself here and your fur babies, but you can't see what you're doing. So that really, really sucks. Usually mites are identified though when you notice that your rat is obsessively scratching, and they'll leave like small scabs usually around their shoulders. And fleas are absolutely terrible as well. They're probably up there in the worst, as the worst parasite, but they can feed off of other animals as well as humans, and they're really terrible because they tend to cling to your carpets and anything like that. So it's really, really sucky. And the thing with our situation is that I feel the worst about is the fact that I don't really know how long this has been going on. Apparently, they could have these types of problems for a long time and you may not even notice. And I feel really terrible. A couple months ago, we lost Ziggy's brother Skinner, and he always tended to have boo-boos on him. And I always thought that the boo-boos were from him and Ziggy roughhousing, because Ziggy barely ever had a boo-boo and Skinner always had like boo-boos, and that was kind of like that from the very beginning. And I mean, when I say they would roughhouse, they would really roughhouse, and they would do it like all the time. Plus, I could never seem to get our rat's nails to not be super sharp. Like, I can trim them very short and they'll still be super sharp. So it's been really difficult because I keep wondering if Skinner had come in contact with what we have going on now. I don't know if that had anything to do with his passing. Hopefully not. I mean, he was up there in age, and I do believe that his age was, why he passed, but he passed so suddenly, and there was no signs of anything being wrong. Although, like I said, he was always having boo-boos, but I never seen any flakies or anything of the sort around his boo-boos. And his boo-boos seem to be visible as you would notice a cat scratch on your arm. So there'd be like a line. There wouldn't be like little bumps or little chew marks. Like, that's not what it looked like. So like I said, I always just thought it was from them roughhousing, but I'm still questioning it. And I still believe that the marks he had were, roughhousing related, especially because Mr. HoneyBun never really had any marks, and he always lived by himself. And I think if there was an infestation at that point, that everybody would have marks on them. Mr. HoneyBun does have some marks on him now, but not too bad. And Ziggy didn't let me really get like a full examination on him yet, but I think he has like a couple small itchy marks, but nothing that looks like Skinner's marks did. So I don't think Skinner was around whenever this started, but I'm still questioning it, which makes me feel even worse. So anyway, this is being like way longer than I wanted it to be. But to wrap things up, if you would like to purchase the Revolution, I just wanted to let you know about it. You can purchase it without a prescription. The link will be in our description. It's definitely something to have though, because you never really know when you'll need it. And yes, they do expire, so if you're thinking you're probably not going to need that much, if you're using it for hamsters, guinea pigs, and rats, then I wouldn't buy too much. But if you have cats and dogs who may need it, then you may want to stock up a little bit more on it. But if you're using it for the rodents though, definitely do not get the one that says plus. You do not want Revolution Plus. And Our favorite is the cat one. It's the blue box, and that'll be the first link down in our description. It's definitely very, very helpful. And anyway, I just want everybody to know about being able to buy the Revolution without the prescription, because I think that it's something that everybody with little guys like that should have in their home at all times, just in case, because you never know. And you don't want your little guys to suffer, and you definitely don't want them to suffer any longer than they have to. So it's definitely something to have. Anyway, if you run into a problem like we have with our nightmare here, I just wanted you to know that it doesn't make you dirty or your little guys disgusting. It just means that you have a problem and you got to take care of it. Even though you probably feel disgusting and icky and totally grossed out as I do. You know, you'll get through it just as we will. And, you know, I just hope that nobody really has to deal with this ever. But, you know, it's really not something to be ashamed of, even though you'll probably feel that way. And there are going to be a million questions that are going to be left unanswered. So that's kind of like unfortunate. The only thing I can think of for our situation is the possibility that one of the bags of bedding that I used for them was, you know, contaminated somehow. I usually, when I bring the bedding into our room, I put them on top of our one guinea pig's house, just so they sit there for a second, so I can get each one up to the shelf. And occasionally, Lenny's cage will pinch a tiny hole in a bag. And I went to go use this one bag of bedding for our boys not too long ago. It was a white bag. And when I went to go open it, I did notice a tiny little hole. Well, I wasn't using this bag though for the hamsters because they were starting their summer themes at the time. And then I really thought that the hole though came from within the home. So I made, I guess, the mistake of opening it and using it for our rats, but I probably should have just thrown the bag out, because that's the only thing I can think of. That hole didn't come from within the home and was contaminated. That's the only thing I can think of. And also, when I cleaned their house, I threw away all of their toys, all of their chews. They had these little rope things to climb on, and I even threw them away. And I actually noticed that Ziggy's rope was a little dirtier than I expected. I hadn't really cleaned it in a while because it didn't appear dirty when I would look at it. But when I took it out of the cage, I noticed it was dirtier. So if you have any toys like that in your rat's home, make sure that you take them out of the cage to look at them and clean them. You know, it's pretty important. But yeah, I feel really bad because they have like nothing in their homes right now. And I don't want to put anything new in there just yet. I cleaned their houses down, you know, as soon as I realized that they were having this problem, and it's been a couple days, so I'm going to wipe it all down again tonight, and hopefully won't find anything, but, you know, I'm just going to, until I don't find anything anyway, I'm going to give them a full cleaning like every couple days. I'm scared to do the spot cleanings as thoroughly as I was, though, each night, because I'm scared to like spread it. And when I do the full cleaning, I bag everything up and just take it to the tub, because that way I don't have to worry about anything dropping on anybody else's stuff, because that wouldn't be fair. And even though, you know, I don't believe that these things are going to transfer to anybody else regardless. And even though once they're in the tub with the Dawn that I use, they are pretty much dead because they stopped moving anyway. I still, I could never like take it and give it back to them if I didn't get it all off. So, you know, yeah. Anyway, hopefully I won't find anything else. Well, that is that. Thank you so much for joining us for our nightmare. I hope nobody else has to go through this nightmare. It is really seriously putting a damper on our summer fun, but we really hope to get back to our summer fun adventures real soon. And, you know, once we are able to do so, we will definitely be making sure that each and every one of our little guys gets a little something extra special to celebrate the fact that the nightmare will be over. I just hope that the nightmare will be over very soon. Alright, well, that's that. Thank you. Please give us a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Maybe share some of your experiences with parasites with us, or, you know, stories that you have heard, or anything of the sort. And, like I said, we just hope that nobody else is going through this nightmare, and we hope that everybody is having a RatTastic summer. Thank you. Have a great one.